Beyond the screens, past the pings, and deeper than the noise of today, there is a frequency that never fades. It is the sound of a voice telling a truth that was true 1,000 years ago and will be true 1,000 years from now. These are the narratives that shaped civilizations, the legends that whispered to our ancestors, and the stories that still live inside us, waiting to be woken up. In a world that moves too fast, we are taking a moment to sit still, to breathe, to co create a world using nothing but the air between us and the power of your imagination. I, Rashmi Shetty, am your host, and this is Once Upon a Time Stories that have stood the test of time. Let's begin. When we think of Independence Day, our hearts naturally light up with memories of brave leaders and the fluttering tricolor and the sweet sound of freedom. We often picture grand speeches, fierce battles. But long before the freedom movement swept across our country, the true spirit of India was nurtured and kept alive by extraordinary queens, women of immense courage and quiet strength who showed us what real self governance looks like. While some queens took up swords to defend their borders, there was one queen who chose to defend her people's peace, dignity, and spirit. Her name was Rani Ahilyabai Holkar, and her story reminds us that true freedom begins with how deeply we care for one another. Long, long ago, in a quiet little village tucked away in India, lived a bright young girl named Ahilya. Ahilya didn't live in a shiny palace, nor did she wear silk clothes or have fancy jewelry. She was just a simple girl with a very big and tender heart. While other children played games, Ahilya would often be found near the local temple, sharing little meals with stray animals, helping elders carry heavy pots of water, or simply sitting by the river, listening to the gentle splash of water against the clay banks. One sunny afternoon, a great and powerful ruler named Malhar Rao Holkar was riding through her village on his horse. As he paused near the temple, he noticed little Ahalya. She was busy making sure every hungry person near the courtyard had a bite to eat before she took a single bite herself. The ruler smiled to himself and thought, here is a little girl who understands what it truly means to care for others. She has the heart of a true leader. Years went by, and that simple little girl grew up to become Rani Ahilyabai Holkar, the queen of a vast and beautiful kingdom called Malwa. Now, when most of us imagine a queen, we picture someone sitting high up on a golden throne in a cold stone castle, wearing a heavy crown and shouting orders at the soldiers. But Ahilyabai was a completely different kind of queen. She didn't want to sit far away from her people. Instead, every single morning, she would open the doors of her courtyard, walk out without any grand procession, and sit right there on the floor amongst the villagers. Anyone could walk up to her and speak. If a poor farmer was worried about his crops, she listened carefully. If a young mother needed help, she made sure her family was cared for. And when she noticed that the weavers in her kingdom were struggling to find work, she didn't just give them money. She helped them start weaving the most exquisite lightweight cotton and silk saris filled with beautiful geometric patterns inspired by the river currents. Those very creations, known as Maheshwari saris, are still woven with love and worn by people even today. Ahilyabai loved to look at the world around her and ask a simple question: how can I make life gentler for everyone? She knew that in those days, families had to walk for miles and miles under the blazing sun just to visit sacred places or trade their goods. So, using her own resources, she set out to weave a blanket of kindness across our entire country. Along the dusty trade roads, she planted sprawling trees so tired travelers could rest in the cool shade. She dug deep, freshwater wells so no child would ever go thirsty on a long journey. She built warm guest houses where families could sleep safely at night without having to pay a single coin. And when she looked at the great holy Ganges River at Varanasi, she saw families slipping on the muddy banks as they tried to reach the water. So she commissioned master stonemasons to craft wide, smooth, beautiful stone steps leading all the way down into the gentle river, creating the famous Ahilyabai Ghat, where people could sit, pray, and feel the cool water wash over their feet in complete safety. Right nearby, she rebuilt the magnificent Kashi Vishwanath temple, bringing light and hope back to millions of pilgrims. Ahilyabai lived her whole life showing the world that being powerful doesn't mean being loud or winning fierce battles or building giant statues of yourself. True strength is found in how softly you speak, how deeply you listen, and how many hearts you uplift, and how much light you leave behind for others to walk by long after you are gone. With that, we complete our journey for today. I hope you enjoyed stepping into this story as much as I enjoyed telling it. But remember, a story only lives when it is shared. If these words touched you, please pass them on. Share this episode with someone who might need a moment of wonder today. In a digital world that can sometimes feel a little lonely, let this story be a beacon of smiles and a steady light of hope in your pocket. Let's catch up soon to listen to what happened once upon a time.